their best content is still going to the movie theater. So if you want to see Frozen 2, it's going to be in theaters, then it's going to go to home video and iTunes and Amazon, and then 6 months after theatrical, it's going to end up on Disney Plus.
Sooner or later.
If they end up with day and date, the way Netflix is doing with movies like The Irishman, they probably could charge $15, maybe even $20
Not enough
a month.
To be as profitable as that.
That's where it gets really
keep the stock where it is.
Because you got to remember, it's not just. I mean, I was thinking through. I own every one of these DVDs. If I don't have to buy the DVDs anymore, if I don't have to do any of those things, there's more than one or two different revenue streams that are going to get impacted by this.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's the real question here is that, what's the future? And remember, original programming right now is pretty light. Like, I got up this morning at 6 a.m. I watched episode 1 of The Mandalorian. It's 36 minutes long. At the end of 36 minutes,
you got up this morning to do that?
I did. I had to come watch it before I came here.
Tweeted it out, too.
So it's 36 minutes. You finish it. There's no episode 2 because they make you wait a week to watch the next episode. There isn't like a lot to do. So I think the low price is also sort of emblematic of the fact that there isn't that much new content, a lot of catalog content.
A la Apple, right?
But I do think Disney has a cost advantage longer term here because they own so much intellectual property that they can develop on their own. I mean, you
they
look
have
at
their own library.
The bidding wars going on for like the morning show, the Apple, Amazon, they're all creating it from scratch. The money they're shelling out is massive. Disney is not getting involved in that. They don't have to do it. That is where they are going to be very good at production and capitalizing on the intellectual property they already have. In terms of where this price ends up, I think a lot of that's going to be, well, how many of these things are going to survive? If you end up with like 3 major streaming services, essentially some kind of oligopoly here, then they're going to start moving the price up pretty dramatically.
The other thing to think about is that most TV shows that have been successful in history have not come from movie franchises. If you think about the most iconic TV shows that you've loved, go all the way back in time, the only one you probably jumps off the page is MASH, right? Which started as a movie and
Happy Days.
That started as a movie?
American Graffiti, kind of.
Oh.
You're stretching, but okay, fine. I'll give it to you, Joe. But like, it's, the idea that you're going to create, massive TV properties, usually they've been really original ideas. Sometimes they've come from books. I mean, things like Game of Thrones, but movies into TV shows is something new. And we're going to see how well Disney, because that's a big part of their strategy, is to take things that were movies and turn them in, spin-off aspects of them, Mandalorian, Loki.
They've been doing that for a long time in the children's properties. I think of Lion King and all of the other ones that they've kind of spun off, the little low-key versions.
But these have never been iconic TV shows that the whole world feasted on. And we're going to see how well that does in the TV world. My first impression of The Mandalorian, beautiful, incredibly shot, but really for a Star Wars fanatic, it's not for kind of a broad mass audience the way kind of a Marvel Avengers film feels more mass audience.
Talk about sports again. You mentioned it a few minutes ago. Are live sports going to be on Disney Plus 5 years from now?
Well, they have ESPN Plus, and there are live sports on that. It's more niche sports. I mean, it's Series A, it's UFC, it's not NFL Monday Night Football, which was on ESPN last night. The real question is as the cable bundle keeps shrinking, cord cutting, 4% decrease year over year in subscribers in Q3 2019 is what we just have seen reported. Comcast, your parent company, increasingly focused on the broadband business and moving away from its focus on the video business. It really raises the question of how many video cable subscribers will there ultimately be? We think 85 million plus today probably ends up in the mid-40s.
Because of sports. And the
45 are the diehard sports fans. Right. The problem is that a business for a network like ESPN? Very hard to support the economic model of paying multiple billions for Monday Night Football when you only have 40 to 50 million subscribers.
That's interesting. Live sports have been the thing keeping everybody afloat and saying that was the thing. You don't think that exists anymore, even with a property like the Olympics or something?
Look, I think it keeps these channels. It keeps a reason for these channels to exist. The question is, if you're not a sports fan, why do you need the bundle? The best content, we just talked about it, Apple TV Plus, Mandalorian, Stranger Things on Netflix, all the great content.
The first place I still go when I turn on the TV is through the guides to see if there's anything I want to watch there, and if there's nothing I want to watch there, then I go to one of the other sites.
I don't think that's a behavior of a younger person. I mean, putting us all in the category of we're all older.
You just called me okay boomer.
Yeah, I know. Morgan Brennan said, yeah, Joe, you remember the Apollo. I do remember that, Morgan. I remember Apollo 13, and believe it or not, Morgan, it wasn't Tom Hanks. It was actually not the guy that saved that. I know that. Julia's still here. Julia, I'm going to ask Rich this, and you tell me too. Will the Will it be referred to as the good old days where we are right now someday?
There'll never be a business as profitable as everybody.
Will there ever be the good new days for Disney?
Well, hold on.
Well, look, I
100
think
million
if you're
people.
a consumer, if you're a consumer right
Well, I don't
now
mean
and
consumer.
you're watching content, you have more options. And I also think if you're a content creator, we talk about whether this is
Right.
peak TV.
What about
if
Bob
you
Iger?
are selling shows.
Well, he'll be
Well,
gone,
I think
but-
he's going to be, he has a couple more years left on his contract. But what we're going to
This is
see
the good
here
old days
is
now.
this transition where they're going to try to make much more money from this direct-to-consumer model and also really try to figure out how to monetize that advertising piece that I mentioned. Remember, if they're, not sharing that ad revenue, they're really just going to be, targeting ads digitally, able to understand who their consumer is and make those ads so much more valuable on Hulu and also on ESPN Plus that they see sort of opportunity down the line to benefit from having that one-to-one relationship with the consumer. I do think it's going to be a tough couple years of transition, and Iger has talked about how they're going to have very high costs as they invest in building out this business. So certainly a transition point, but I think 5 years from now we probably will not see all of these different streaming services. We'll see it whittle down, and we'll see new bundles, right? Maybe it's going to be all about the new bundle.
Joe, I don't think there'll ever be a business as profitable as 100 million people paying $9 a month for
You mean
ESPN.
the good old days?
Well,
Think about it. People
you're
pay things they don't want.
Right.
but it was terrible for consumers. Consumers hated the cable model, and they were locked into it. And now it is a golden age for consumers.
Except for
right now.
that new poll that was just out over the weekend said that they plan on taking 3.8 different of these services, and they're willing to pay like $46 a month for it anyway. So it's like right back to the old cable
So that
bundle
the
anyway.
2.4 kids can watch.
But you can control it. So if you want to cancel it, you can cancel it very easily. So if you get bored with Disney Plus, it's click off. No one has to come to your house, install a cable box, wait on hold. Like you literally just click on and off, and you pause your subscription. It literally is that easy. I mean, YouTube TV lets you actually pause, and if you pause for 6 months, they keep your DVR in the cloud. Like they encourage you to pause.
Do you think this will continue? I know that's the Netflix model, but will there be a point, because Disney's already trying to get to the point where they lock people up for 3 years doing this? Is that going to be the point where you can no longer do it on a month-by-month basis just to make sure that they can maintain some sort of revenue control or know what's coming for the course of the year?
I think it's really hard to lock people in. I remember WWE early on. My colleague Brendan Ross covers it at Lightshed, and they tried originally to lock people in for a year, and people hate being locked in. People like the ability to choose. DirecTV, remember, used to try to lock you in for a year. I just think we're in a world where people expect, like table stakes is the ability to cancel at any time. There's a few people that might pay to get, who have the money to afford a long-term discount with a multi-year plan. I mean, I took the 3-year plan for Disney Plus. That was a great deal, under $4 a month. But I think most people prefer the model of choosing month to month. And I just think it's going to be very hard to get away from that.
All right, Rich, Jim, thank you guys for coming in. And Julia, good to see you.
Pretty close. And for those of you at home, desperately Googling for sports coats that Jim is wearing, that is not a sports coat. That is a suit.
It is a suit.
That is a foot. Did you notice that? I mean, that.
Yes,
Huh?
thank you.
Nice job.
It is. It works. But I said, wow, that's a great sports coat. And I went, holy moly, he's got those are pants.
You can wear it either way.
You can.
So it's very flexible.
That's a good idea. That's like
jealous. He
twice
wants to wear a jacket.
the. Awesome. All right, coming up, would you do that?
Yep.
I think you could.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. The next wave of VC-backed startups that could become household names. We're going to talk about some of the hottest young companies attracting attention all over the world. As we head to break, a reminder, make sure to subscribe to our podcast, Squawk Pod. You'll get interviews and behind-the-scenes access. Look for us on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcast, which is a word that is like 2 years old. Stay tuned. We're back in just a moment.
Mini is a different kind of car.
Did you get the milk?
I bought brie, fish fingers, and washing up liquid.
You went out for milk.
I won't be long.
You can't always control what you spend, but you can save as you spend with Save the Change. When you use your Lloyds Bank debit card, we'll round up the amount to the next pound and transfer the difference to your nominated Lloyds Bank savings account. Feel in control every day with our mobile banking app. Lloyds Bank, by your side. T's and C's apply.
At TUI, we can help you find the perfect getaway for two. We fly to over 70 destinations worldwide, so wherever you have in mind, we'll help you get there. Book now and choose from thousands of holidays under $399 per person and pay £0 deposit when paying with direct debit. Book online or in-store with one of our travel experts. At TUI, we cross the T's, dot the I's and put you in the middle. Offer available on selected holidays for a limited time and subject to availability. Booking T's and C's apply. At all protected.
Want to know what's happening in right now? The latest headlines are just a tap away with Fox News Talk on TuneIn. When news breaks, get up-to-the-minute coverage on developing stories from around the world. Plus, hear all the Fox shows you watch on your TV. Listen to Fox News Talk around the clock on TuneIn.
What if you could keep up with cable news even when you're on the go? With TuneIn Premium, you can listen to MSNBC live without any commercial interruptions. All of the news, none of the ads. Listen live on TuneIn Premium today.
Hey NFL fans, can't watch the game? Can't be there? We've got you covered. With TuneIn Premium, you can hear every NFL game live as it's happening, or catch it later on demand, anytime, anywhere, all season long.
Here's a swing and a drive deep to right field. Looking up. Goodbye, baseball.
Between game-winning shots and walk-off homers, follow TuneIn on social media to discover the latest and greatest in live sports.
With the 24th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft.
From live reminders that the biggest MLB games are on the air, to recommendations of the best new sports talk shows and podcasts.
He's going to be fine. He's going to be good right away in 3 years.
Follow at TuneIn on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to get the most out of TuneIn.
It's been a tough year for some high-profile companies that took the plunge and went public in 2019. Just take a look at Uber and Lyft. Those stocks both down by about 40% since their IPOs. The startup darlings, well, you've seen their performance for this year. Of course, what about the little guys who get overshadowed by bigger players that seem to suck up all the venture capital attention? Our very own Kate Rooney joins us right now to talk about the next generation of VC bets. Kate, it's great to see you.
Hey, Becky, great to see you. So we're announcing our Upstart 100 list today, comprised of promising early-stage startups. These names are part of a $30 billion wave of funding that's gone to young companies this year alone. So each was scored on 8 equally weighted metrics like scalability and sales growth. Not all of them are from the tech hub of Silicon Valley, though. We've got entrepreneurs in 10 different countries, 16 U.S. states, and 1 from D.C. A quarter of the winners are led by a female founder. So fintech, healthcare, and cybersecurity were the hot areas this year for early stage investments. Multiple winners were founded by Israeli Defense Force alumni. We've got one e-commerce company called iFi, which is backed by Greylock, going up against Amazon for cashier-free shopping. Despite their young age, big-name VCs are still pouring in. You've got Kleiner Perkins, Andreessen Horowitz, and Sequoia among the investors on this year's list. They're looking for the next Facebook or Apple by trying to get in early here. We've also seen some M&A from former winners. The 2017 winner Hexadite was bought by Microsoft, and another called Fireglass was bought by VMware. But Becky, as you guys know, big risk comes with big reward. So this stage tends to be cheaper than some of the frothy later stage financing rounds we've seen with the likes of WeWork and Uber. The upstarts, by comparison, have raised no more than $50 million in venture capital each.
Yeah, and Kate, that's where the action is. We were hearing it from another investor earlier today that if you can get in early, that's still the place where you can make money.
Absolutely. You've seen some interesting names on this list, too. There's a lot of corporate venture capital. So we had Qualcomm, MasterCard, GE, all have venture capital arms that were betting big here. And then you see the big names like Kleiner Perkins, cybersecurity and enterprise software seem to be the big bets for them this year.
Kate, thank you so much. And we should say our very own Kate Rooney, who started with us with Squawk Box, and now we are watching very proudly out in Silicon Valley. It's great to see you, Kate.
You too. Thanks, Becky.
Thanks.
All right, coming up, a special interview with tech luminary Michael Dell. We'll get him to weigh in on the sector's biggest deals, the heat on Silicon Valley from Capitol Hill, and much more. Stay tuned. You are watching Squawk Box on CNBC.
I won't get to get what I'm after till the day I die.
I've
got to tell you about our beautiful city break in Bath. Midweek is the perfect time to beat the crowds. Just an hour and a half by train from London. It was so relaxing. We headed straight for Bath Christmas Market. Oh, I can still smell the roasted chestnuts and mulled wine from the chalets. Next, we donned our skates for Bath on ice. I'm a natural. Didn't have to hold on to anything or anyone. There's so much to do in Bath. I'm already planning my next trip.
Discover the magic of Bath this Christmas. Plan ahead at visitbath.co.uk/Christmas.
'Tis the season to be hunched over your laptop. Not on our watch. In real life, you can feel your senses and your baskets. Feel all the sights, sounds, lols, and OMGs. Wear laughing emojis on actual smiley faces. Battery is running low. Take the kids to Santa's Grotto. In real life, you can find just the right present using the most advanced search engine in the world. Your eyes. We can't in real life. Brent Cross, London. Free parking for all sleighs and cars.
This winter, why not take the short flight from London to Dublin with Aer Lingus from just $32.99 each way as part of a return trip. From coastal walks to cozy pubs and friendly locals, you'll find so much to enjoy once you're there. Smart takes a Dublin city break. Smart flies Aer Lingus. Book now at aerlingus.com. Terms and conditions apply.
This is a live message from the Survivalist Network. There are reports of an impending zombie apocalypse reaching London. But don't panic. Our intel shows that for £199 a month with 0% APR representative, you can locally access the Toyota Hilux Invincible, the only vehicle with the build strength to withstand savage hordes of the undead. Once inside your Toyota Hilux, stay on this frequency for updates. You'll be fine.
0% APR representative on new sales of Hilux Invincible over 42 months. £199 per month. Customer deposit of £9,701 when financed through Access Toyota by 16th of December 2019. £12,525 optional final payment. Subject to status to over 18s. Indemnities may be required. Conditions apply. Toyota Financial Services.
Next time you look up at the stars, think about this.
Inside you are the remains of a stellar explosion. You are made of stardust. And without the stars, there wouldn't be us.
I'm Guy Raj, the wonders of the universe and the people who still look up every night. Next time on the TED Radio Hour from NPR. You can subscribe to the TED Radio Hour on TuneIn.
Upgrade to TuneIn Premium and get over 45 commercial-free music stations. You'll also get live commercial-free news, plus live play-by-play games from NFL, MLB, NBA, and NHL. Visit TuneIn.com/premium to upgrade.
Welcome back to Squawk Box, everybody. The futures this morning are indicated higher, but they're barely hanging in the green right now. Dow futures up by about 3.5, S&P futures up by just over 0.5 point, and the Nasdaq up by about 4.
And tech pioneer Dell is hosting an event today called the Next Data Decade. The company plans to highlight some new technologies that can help firms utilize and gain insight from their data. Joining us now, Michael Dell, founder and CEO of Dell Technologies. Michael, I don't know if your ears were burning. We were just actually having a conversation about one of the things that you're introducing today. And that's what we want to ask you, if you can explain in layman's terms. I just read it to Tom Farley, an on-demand, consumption-based, and as-a-service delivery model for the industry's broadest infrastructure portfolio that combines flexible payment models with infrastructure solutions from edge and endpoints to core data center to cloud. And I said, I don't think Michael knows what the hell that means. But you built a PC in your dorm room. Are you tech savvy enough to understand exactly what you're doing, and can you explain it to Tom and Becky and me?
Sure. Well, great to be with you all. Good morning. Look, what we're doing is creating the infrastructure for this incredible explosion in data that's occurring in the world. And what we're really talking about is, how do you automate this infrastructure so organizations can focus on outcomes and results from all that data? You know what's going on in the world today is that everything is becoming intelligent and connected. And that data, along with artificial intelligence and machine learning, is being used to create better outcomes for all kinds of organizations and for the whole society. And so, this is largely called the digital transformation, but behind the scenes, it requires a next generation of kind of autonomous infrastructure. And, we're allowing our customers to consume that any way they want, on demand fashion.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Okay, so instead of like one size fits all and you pay this huge amount of money, this is consumption based, on demand. So you need it, you get it. You're not. That would be a big step forward from what's around right now. Is that right?
Pay as you go, and I think if you've been watching our business, you can see that it's been transforming. Last quarter, our deferred revenues grew 17% year over year to $25 billion. Our operating income grew 30% year over year. So the growth in software and services has been significant, and we've changed our business in the last 5 or 7 years pretty substantially. And we'll be talking about that, and also our 2030 goals that we've laid out for ourselves. We do this about every 10 years. We just retired our 2020 Legacy of Good goals, and now we're setting forth a series of moonshot goals around advancing sustainability, cultivating inclusion, transforming lives with technology, and always operating with ethics and continuing to enhance data privacy. These are the kind of things that we'll be talking about today. In addition to this idea of autonomous infrastructure, we're introducing a new product, which essentially is, a cloud in a box that scales from the smallest organizations to the largest, and of course can be consumed on demand.
It sounds like, Michael, that you're edging in a little bit on like Amazon Web Service business or Microsoft Azure. Is it competitive with those businesses, collaborative, a little bit of both?
It's a little bit of both. With the VMware Cloud Foundation, VMware being an important part of Dell Technologies, we've extended our multi-cloud architecture to all the public clouds. And the other interesting thing is that there is this boom that's starting in edge computing, where everything in the world is being connected. And so you truly have this environment where data and applications are spread out all over. And organizations need a multi-cloud infrastructure, and Dell Technologies, along with VMware, is really at the center of that.
So, Michael, can I switch gears for a second? You're one of these billionaires that everybody's talking about. I have no doubt your dorm room was gold-plated, and you were born on third base.
Born on third base,
Cinder block dorm room, as I remember it.
Yeah.
I mean, we had everything was made out of metal and concrete, so that we didn't destroy.
How many jobs did you? How many employees at Dell?
157,000.
Oh,
tens of billions of shareholder value.
Yeah, you're a bad guy. You're a bad guy. You're one of those bad guys.
Well, you're a bad guy. What do you think about being a bad guy?
Well, I think we need more entrepreneurship, and we need more new business creation. And we've always been a proponent of a fair and free and open market, and we recognize that's got to be balanced by the public interest. And a lot of what we're talking about with our social impact goals, this is not the first time we did this, right? We did it a decade ago, and we've been caring about these things for quite some time. But look, I think if you look at the number of jobs that have been created by the free enterprise system, this is the best thing going, and we believe it's important to preserve the entrepreneurship and the risk taking that has allowed the creation of all these incredible businesses, advancing the world forward. And look, we're fortunate in the United States to have a lot of the world's greatest companies.
Yeah, for now. What do some of these companies deserve a lot more closer scrutiny and regulation? Do you think that I'm talking about technology? How would you approach that if you were regulators or the companies? Self-regulation?
Well, that's not my area of expertise, Joe, and I'm not a regulator, so I'm not going to weigh in on that. I do think that companies, have a duty and a responsibility to be clear about what they're doing with customers' data. Certainly in our case, customers own their data. We don't use their data. We don't own their data. And we're incredibly transparent about that and always have been. I think that's a good standard that many companies are adopting.
Michael, as you may remember, it bugged me a little bit when I was at the NYC and you were private and you would talk about how you enjoyed being private and you didn't want to be a public company. Has your perspective changed at all?
We had some fun with that, Tom.
Yeah. You beat me up pretty good, but has your perspective changed at all?
Well, as you know, of course, we're public now, and our business during the time that we were private transformed considerably. We acquired EMC and VMware and Pivotal, and grew more than $20 billion in revenues, evolved the business substantially, and it was the right time with the strength that we were seeing in our business to bring all the shareholder interests together and align for the future and continue to stay on offense. So very happy with the position that we have right now. And as I mentioned earlier, earnings in the last reported quarter up 30% year over year. So, we're doing well.
I've known you a long time, Michael, but I'm going to ask you anyway. So what do you think of the prospect of an Elizabeth Warren presidency? What do you think that would mean for technology, for the economy, for U.S. business?
Well, Joe, I've heard you comment on this quite a bit. I'm not going to be endorsing any presidential candidates here today, nor will I be commenting on the myriad of proposals that many of them have been putting forth. Again, I'm a big believer in the entrepreneurial spirit that helped create lots of great businesses around the world, the free enterprise system, fair, free, and open markets, and I'll work with anyone and everyone who wants to advance those goals.
Okay. See, I told you.
It's well said.
Perfect. I know. I've known him a long time. Michael, thanks for coming on today. We appreciate it. Good luck explaining all that stuff to people like us. Anyway, thanks.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
All right, let's get down to the New York Stock Exchange. Jim Cramer is standing by. Jim, it is Disney Plus launch day. What do you think about what this means for the streaming wars and what's to come?
Well, look, I think that everyone likes to sample things. I looked at the programming this morning, and I can say, well, 20 years ago, I would have loved it. To me, it's no thank you. Don't feel any need for it.
Just in terms of when the kids were younger?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good value for them. I mean, one of the things I really love about it is that not everybody is the same. I love ESPN Plus. I know that Rich was saying ESPN is a danger zone. Well, I play fantasy football at ESPN Plus. Without it, I just don't think I can win. So, I mean, to each his own. One of the things I love about this is I can put together my own bundle. My own bundle is probably going to cost me less. And that's the way of the world. I think it's super for the consumer.
Consumers. What does it mean for any of these companies? What does it mean for any of these companies, though?
Well, I mean, I think that Disney, they had no choice. They had to take some sort of action because the bundle is old school. I think that this is a very smart move by Iger because he's got all this, what Jim Stewart said, he's got all of this intellectual property, and it's very inexpensive for him to make programming versus Apple. I thought a lot of good points were made by your discussion this morning. And I do think that Jim Stewart is right, that the competitive advantage they have over Apple, over Amazon. I was watching the Jack Ryan production. That's Paramount, which is Viacom. That costs a fortune. So I would much rather be in a situation like Iger where everything's kind of paid for.
Okay. Hey, Jim, thank you, and we will see you in just a couple of minutes.
I think Michael Dell's a great American. I said
it. I agree.
Great. Yep.
By the way, folks, make sure you join us tomorrow right here on Squawk Box for a special interview with billionaire investor Paul Tudor Jones. We will see him at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Stay tuned. Squawk Box will be right back.
Squawk CEO Call.
It's another Tuesday afternoon, yet another grey day. So ditch the British winter and chase the sun across the globe with British Airways from London Gatwick to enjoy a warm Bayesian welcome.
How are you doing? Enjoying the sunshine?
Fly from London Gatwick to Barbados with British Airways, with flights and 7 nights hotel from just £699 per person. Don't miss out. Ends today. Book at ba.com/wintersun with British Airways. Incredible is within reach. Booking fees and conditions may apply. Limited availability. Selected flights in March.
Wiper blades on such a wet Tuesday afternoon as this. Squeaky, streaky. Rain rattles your windscreen. Smears rattle your confidence. Can't see, can't drive. Can't believe you haven't been to Halfords yet. Come to Halfords. We fit new wiper blades on the spot from just £3. And we're open late 7 days a week. See halfords.com for opening hours. Here in Chiswick. Ready for winter's worst? Ready for anything. Halfords. For life's journeys.
Wiper blades sold separately. Selected vehicles only in most stores.
Introducing a new podcast, ESPN Daily. When you want to go beyond your feed, when you want to get inside the score, when you want to get behind the highlight, there's ESPN Daily. Go deeper into the stories of the moment. Get the exclusive access and insider perspective that only ESPN can give you. ESPN Daily, hosted by me, Mina Kimes. Listen now to ESPN Daily on TuneIn.
Hey NFL fans, can't watch the game? Can't be there? No biggie. With your TuneIn Premium membership, you have unlimited access to every team and every game in the league. Listen live as it happens or on demand. Anytime, anywhere. All season long. Search NFL today.
Stuck in traffic during the big game? With TuneIn Premium, you can listen to your favorite NFL team on the go. No TV required. Even during rush hour, you won't miss a single touchdown. Listen to the NFL on TuneIn Premium today.
Final check on the markets. That'd be a new high. President's going to speak at the Economics Club today. Probably like new highs when he's talking. Maybe
see what happens.
Maybe a little China trade positive. Anyway. Thank you. We'll see you again, and make sure you join us tomorrow. Squawk on the Street's coming up next.
I feel so close to you. Right now, it's a force field. I wear my heart upon my
Good Tuesday morning. Welcome to Squawk on the Street. I'm Carl Quintanilla with Jim Cramer, David Faber at the New York Stock Exchange. Futures largely unchanged here as the market await the president speaking at noon at the Economic Club of New York. We'll look for any news regarding U.S.-China trade, tariff relief, and more. Europe is mixed. A good rebound in German investor sentiment today, helping the DAX and the 10-year steady around 194. Our roadmap begins with the latest volley in the streaming wars. Disney enters the fray, officially launching its Disney Plus platform.
Plus, Goldman Sachs Sukin customers concerned about gender bias allegations says, quote, "We hear you." The bank now reevaluating its Apple Card credit limits.
And billion-dollar cost cuts. The embattled cigarette maker Juul Labs set to slash 16% of its workforce. We're going to begin, though, with Disney entering the streaming wars. The company's Disney Plus service launching today with a monthly price tag of $6.99. Subs will have access to nearly 500 films, 7,500 TV episodes. Disney has spent more than $3 billion on technology and content prior to the launch. It's a big deal for Kevin Mayer, who's in charge of making this thing works. And we have seen some technical hiccups here on this first day.
Overloaded? Yeah. Well, it's maybe a high-quality problem. I'm not sure. But I looked at all the offerings. I said to myself, when I had two little girls, I think I would have said, no, I don't have to go anywhere. This is it. Here, kids, you go do that. And then I can go watch football in the other room. That was my thinking.
Makes sense.
And then The Mandalorian was promoted very heavily last night in an extremely good Monday Night Football game.
You should have seen Good Morning America today.
Really?
Jeff Goldblum, stormtroopers, animated Woodies crossing the screen.
Look, I used to have to wear on Monday mornings when I worked at Good Morning America. I would have to wear for let's say they were playing the Redskins were playing. Oh, jeez, they like the Summit Hilltoppers. Yeah, I would have to wear a Redskins helmet. Why? Because that's the name of the game. I mean, David. At one point, I'm sorry, you're jammed over there. At one point, I said to myself, "Hey, listen, That's the way it's promoted. I mean, Ultimate Fight Club's promoted every 35 seconds on Sports Center. We're all in a situation where nobody can do what they used to do, which is just be non-promotional, except for a little more subtly, because so much is at stake. And I do think when I looked at that it is just a natural for those of us who had kids, have little kids, and you look at it, you say, well, there it is. That's all under one roof. I'm buying it. But if you're me, it's like, wait.
Yeah, interesting. Disney's had a long evolution in their thinking regarding streaming. We talked to Bob Iger back in 2015 at the time about the threat of Netflix, and this is what he told us.
We view Netflix as friend, not foe. There's no reason for us to beat Netflix. We actually are taking advantage of Netflix great growth, and I guess maybe you could argue we've helped Netflix great growth.
That was the thinking among many.
Okay, I'm going to go right now. Right now, here's the deal. Tim McNerney, the great Boeing CEO. I said to him, you know what? I see all these companies, and they always say, you know what? We're really friends. It's good. How about you and Airbus? He said, I hate Airbus. So what do you mean? Because what do you think this is, Harvard, Yale? He said, Airbus is the enemy. They're the enemy, for heaven's sake. Come on. Can we stop with the friend thing? I mean, there's no friendship. There's no friend. Do you think Jamie Dimon is real good buddies with Brian Moynihan? He wants to take his customers.
Yes, he should. That's what competition.
That's what business is about, taking the other guy's customers. Now, Reid Hoffman has said over and over again, the more the merrier. At a certain point,
Reid Hastings.
Yes.
Sorry, Reid Hoffman.
Reid Hoffman.
A bunch of Reids.
A couple Reids.
Enough with the friends. Enough with the friends.
Well, they were collecting nice-sized checks from Netflix for a long time.
Right, but no more. I mean, now it's like, look, there's only so much money.
Well, there it is.
How much money do you have?
Well, that's a question, and that sort of lays it out there for the consumer right now.
Add those up, David.
They add up to depending on what you want to choose and what level of service you want, it can add up to a significant amount of money for the average family.
And you saw the Harris poll yesterday. The Harris poll said that average Americans are willing to spend how much per month? 44.
Right.
$44.
And then I have the $50 skinny bundle from Verizon. Hey, so I only get what?
Nothing. I mean, a few thoughts here, though.
Oh my God, here we go.
Really? You've been talking for 5 minutes. I can't.
Well, you know why I was talking? Because you were doing this.
You know,
I was in the job.
Because I was actually looking at something that was important. Okay. Now,
I apologize.
The fact is that the amount of money that is spent on content is reaching reaching levels we've never seen. Disney obviously going to be spending a lot. They've done an enormously good job of getting their shareholder base ready for it, accustomed to it, and willing to take it. Willing to just take whatever it is because they believe in the product. Netflix going to spend over $14 billion this year. Amazon going to spend at least 7 or 8. CBS reports earnings this morning. They talk about an increased investment in content, including a higher number of series produced from multiple platforms, as well as the company's direct-to-consumer streaming services. At some point, there's going to be a shakeout. How much can HBO Max spend? I mean, John Stanky and I having that conversation a couple of weeks ago when they launched their product, which will be $14.99. Can they go all in? Will Apple really come to the party, continually increase their output and their content spend? These are kind of important questions. And then you step back and you look at the business model that has existed for the last 20 to 25 years.
What a model that was.
Which is why we can sit here and feed our families well. And it's going away. And will this ever be as profitable?
We're going Velveeta, my friend.
Will this ever be as profitable as that was? Ever?
No, it was just a once-in-a-life. It was fabulous while it lasted.
It was good, wasn't it?
It was fantastic.
It was good.
Holy cow, we had cable access. I could watch high school lacrosse.
Having 100 million people pay you, even though only a handful actually watch.
Also, you get to run ads.
I remember when I was up at ESPN.
Model.
And ESPN hit 100 million subs. I went up. David, they were going to have an ESPN channel just for women.
They were going to have the Ocho. ESPN, the Ocho.
Ocho.
Love that one.
I just continue to believe that, like, these millennials, they're sitting there, they got the Verizon bill or the AT&T bill, right? They have their phone bill, okay? Which is, unless they can fob it off on parents, they got to smoke their Juul because everybody's hooked by Juul, right? That's got to, how much does Juul cost each month? They used to have to, that was off. And now they got to do this. They don't have the time. I mean, I was with Strauss Zelnick. You know Strauss?
Yeah, Strauss is going to join
Take
us later
Two.
on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And they can't. Can they do Grand Theft Auto while they're watching the new Star Wars and ordering from Grubhub? Can they do all these things and also like homework for their jobs, or are their jobs just like at Dean Foods?
Back to Reed Hastings' famous line about his competition being sleep.
It's true. Now look, I don't sleep, and I still don't have time for this stuff. I'm fixing my lineup at 3:30 a.m., David.
You're a very, very steeply disturbed man.
I am. Have I ever held that back?
No.
Thank you.
Jim mentions Juul, and Juul is today confirming that it plans to cut costs by nearly $1 billion next year. It includes cutting 650 jobs, or 16% of the workforce. Company's marketing unit among the areas affected, and this comes less than a week after Juul halted the sale of its popular mint-flavored e-cigs amid growing regulatory pressure. We're still waiting to hear from the White House, but 650 jobs, I'm not sure if they're all in San Francisco, but that's a fair amount.
No, this is real. I mean, I think that this thing's unraveling pretty quickly, really fast. I mean, and they didn't do them any favors with those. Remember, their whole rap was, if we stop putting out the flavors, the mint flavors, and the flavors that really hook to, who's going to do it? Chinese. What kind of? There's a real good alibi. Yeah, guys, that's an alibi, huh?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Kronos reported, marijuana's doing pretty good. Kilgum sold really good. I mean, hey, this is good. Doesn't kill anybody. Keeps you off oxy. I don't know.
What's interesting with Juul is to see the private market valuation and where it's getting marked by a number of these investors. Right. It was about a few weeks ago reported there'd been a trade at 90. I don't think many have not come down to that level, even though perhaps they should. We did see Altria.
Remember, what's the high water?
We did see Altria bring down its value of the stake that it paid $12.8 billion for 35%, which valued Juul at the time at $38 billion. The value went up from there, only to now crash since we've had
any sense of why SoftBank didn't come in at why SoftBank didn't come in at like $40 billion?
That's a joke, right?
Is it?
You're making kind of
I was working on
little
Uber.
SoftBank.
I was working on Uber.
Little SoftBank joke.
Grubhub.
Yeah.
Uber. DoorDash versus Grubhub.
Yes.
And I just find themselves in some sort of existential crisis in that SoftBank. To be so stupid about so many things. Not long term, because long term. What are we long term? Dead.
It's 300 years. Massa has a 300-year view.
Yeah.
Now, don't forget.
Let's see. Joins Ted Williams in cryogenics.
Did buy Alibaba and hold it. Many people say, well, listen, it was a once in a lifetime. Yeah, it was, but he was the man who decided not to sell it when it was a 10-bagger, not to sell it when it was a 20-bagger, not to sell it when it was a 50-bagger, but wait until it was still waiting over 100 times what he paid.
He got it right. He got that one right. Maybe that's all you need.
They also did some decent things when it comes to the wireless market in Japan with Yahoo Japan.
Okay, all right, never mind. He's a genius. All right.
No,
we are in a what have we done for me lately?
It is a mixed picture. Certainly, lately, SoftBank and the Vision Fund have inflated values far beyond. They've given war chest to companies that perhaps should not actually have them, because all they do is spend money in what may not end up being a profitable business to begin with.
But if they get John Ledger for WeWork, David, it's all different.
Although Reuters now says he's not a leading candidate.
No, I don't know. He's one of a number of candidates, Carl. They're conducting a search. We knew that yesterday. We know that today. Marcelo Claure, who's of course the chairman, has taken over essentially the leadership in some way of that of the SoftBank controlled WeWork. Knows him well from their negotiating on to get a Sprint T-Mobile deal done. And as I've said a number of times here, Ledger is going to leave T-Mobile when his contract is up and when the deal is done. This guy Mike Sievert has been promoted to president. He's going to take over. Now they haven't announced that, but that's what everybody involved has sort of indicated to me. And I've said it any number of times. I don't know why it was a surprise. Ledger might be looking for a new challenge.
I got a little heads up for you. You are not Ledger's idol.
Why?
Because he says, Kramer's my idol. Sorry, David. There you go. There, that's the truth, huh?
Is that idol as in like idol?
IDLE?
Yeah, exactly. Which one is
he's
that?
idle as he watches the show? What?
Oh,
we
my.
actually,
No,
we know
he's
he watches
doing
on
his
the treadmill.
He's on a. I thought he was on a Peloton.
Like Abraham, which kind of idol is that?
We need him on a Peloton. How's Peloton doing, by the way? Do you know that quarter was actually pretty good? And then they dropped the bomb by saying it was a good quarter.
We had John on that day, and he called it a head scratcher.
He did, trying to understand why the stock was down so much. I asked him to say something during the call. He's like, not that I'm aware of.
Well, how about that he was committed to losing money? That was on the call.
We're talking Peloton now, just to make sure people understand.
I mean, when I was finished with that, I said, you know what? There's a Peloton I like, which is my Well Mezcal at Bar San Miguel. And there's a Peloton I didn't like, the guy who said he's going to spend a fortune.
Right.
Those ads are so good. I always feel like sweating when I see those ads.
I want to come back quickly to something I've said before, but this Sprint T-Mobile trial that's going to start December 9th is going to be very important.
What's that?
Well, it connects to SoftBank, it connects to Ledger, who you were mentioning, of course, as well, and it connects to Charlie Ergen, who I think is going to have to be a star witness there in some way, arguing that he's going to be a real competitor when it comes to nationwide 5G and represent that competition, as the state AGs try to make the case and say, no, you're not, Mr. Ergen. You're only relying on this MVNO you've got, this wholesale agreement. It's going to be interesting, and it's less than a month away from the beginning, and that will perhaps decide his fate too. That deal doesn't happen, then what happens?
Wow.
Right?
That would be shocking.
If you talk about SoftBank, that would have an impact.
How Sprint's balance sheet?
That would hurt.
The deal must happen. The deal. Remember when David said that Time Warner would really help AT&T's cash flow? How right you were. This has to happen too. That was a great deal for when the Great American.
When the Great American sold to AT&T.
It was good for. It turned out to be good for everybody. Do you see where AT&T stock is?
Yeah, they've had a very good year. AT&T.
Plus the cash flow from.
First year was not so good. This year was quite good.
What have you done for me lately? They've done something for me lately. As opposed to your SoftBank.
Boy, you're not happy with SoftBank today, are you?
Well, the whole Uber WeWork thing kind of got in his head,
Don't
right?
get DoorDash.
Yeah, he's
Don't
very
get
upset about
DoorDash.
Uber Eats.
Yes.
Well, Grubhub.
I've worked them.
Because then it connects to the restaurant somehow. There's something going to happen there.
DoorDash bought Caviar. He's right. And that was the end, David. We were Caviar. Next thing I know, we're DoorDash.
DoorDash is the only food delivery online that's gained share, according to Edison Research.
Yeah, because if you go into your machine, you'll see that they suddenly are your provider, even though you didn't make them.
And they got the suburbs, right? That was the story.
They have the suburbs. Yeah. They have the world, more than 300,000. They own the world. Hurting Domino's, hurting Yum, hurting everybody.
We're here for you.
They're hurting
right.
Kramer.
It's going to be okay.
They're crushing Kramer.
When we come back, Kramer's Matt Dash and the opening bell. Take one more look here at the pre-market as we await the president around lunchtime. Don't go away.
It's another Tuesday afternoon, yet another grey day. So ditch the British winter and chase the sun across the globe with British Airways from London Gatwick. Reach the top of Mount Teede or relax on a sandy beach. Fly from London Gatwick to Tenerife with British Airways, with flights and 7 nights hotel from just £349 per person. Don't miss out. Ends today. Book at ba.com/wintersun with British Airways. Incredible is within reach. Booking fees and conditions may apply. Limited availability. Selected flights in March. Make their Christmas wishes come true. Whether they want to jet off on Barbie's dream plane, run with the storm in Fortnite, or glide along on My Lovely Llama. At littlewoods.com, you'll find all the toys they love, all with inclusive delivery and free returns. Own Christmas. Shop now at littlewoods.com.
When it comes to music, I've heard it all. Pink Floyd, Sean Paul, Slipknot. But in the Witch Test Lab, hearing isn't enough. When we test headphones, we really listen. Not just to the music, but to the stuff that gets in the way. The traffic, the chatter, all that. Mind the gap. We simulate the loudest commute to find you the headphones that cancel out the noise. So you know we're only recommending the best.
Which tests harder so you can buy smarter. Visit which.co.uk.
Dell celebrates your small business this November with early Black Friday deals. Our biggest Black Friday ever starts right now. Save up to 50% on business tech, including Windows 10 computers, powerful servers, and the latest award-winning monitors, all with free delivery. Call 0800 085 4878 to talk to a Dell advisor today. That's 0800 085 4878. Or visit dell.co.uk/SB deals for Dell's biggest Black Friday ever. Limited time online offer. Hurry while stocks last. T's and C's apply.
The world is a noisy place, but whether I'm here or here, my phone calls are always loud and clear on my Doro 6620. Hi, love. Yes, I can hear you perfectly. I'm 10 minutes away. Get your Doro 6620 from Amazon, Tesco, and O2 today.
O Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father and come to the shops with me. We can get 10% off 2 big shops a month with the new Tesco Club Card Plus. Oh, and 10% off your favourite Tesco brands, including F&F in-store every day. All for $7.99 a month.
New Tesco Club Card Plus. Value you can't stop talking about. Subscribe online today. £200 max spend per shop. In-store spend only. Club Card app required. Exclusions apply. See online for details.
Let's get to some stocks that we want to keep an eye on this morning. We'll get to Jim's Mad Dash, of course. We also get an opening bell a few minutes from now. Kemet.
Yes, we need consolidation in the semiconductor industry. There are so many. This is ceramic semis, the capacitors. You know, they go into film, electrolyte. They really are automotive, okay? Industrial applications. Rockwell Automation was a great quarter.
Yes,
this is a buy by a Taiwanese company that is really a competitor. And now, David, I know it doesn't hit your radar screen because it's not even $2 billion; it's $1.8 billion. But the point is that
glad you did it.
When you look at all these companies that do semiconductors, there's way too many of them. And when I say there's way too many of them, there's really fabulous synergies when these get together. That's why I thought that Cypress should have been bought a long time ago. So you put all these under one roof, and we really need, like I have Micron tonight. Mm-hmm. There's only 3 companies in the world that actually make DRAMs. And they're very expensive to make, have big capital equipment. This makes sense. So what I'm saying is we ought to be looking more at these niche companies that make a lot of sense, particularly for 5G.
Does regulatory come into this, though,
I think
as
it's
a
too
gating
small,
issue? Not
yes.
here, but just in general in terms of your consolidation call?
Yes, because
I think of SAMR, for example, in China, which might be required to weigh in on some of these.
These have to be under the radar. Right. These have to be like, is it worth anybody's time to try to stop this deal with Taiwan? You're right, though. I hadn't thought about it. Maybe the Chinese just try to throw a wrench into a Taiwan company because they're not exactly pals.
No.
That's a very good point, David.
Well, let's keep an eye on it.
Yeah, because
one of the
that would actually be a great test.
Yeah.
Because it would mean that they got lawyers and bankers who said, listen, this one's going to go through as we wait for NVIDIA to close on Mellanox.
We're still waiting on
But this is a great deal. I mean, this is what we need. If you really want to get this group going, we need more consolidation. Because it was really great when Analog Devices was on the prowl and Texas Instruments, obviously Broadcom. Now Broadcom switched to software that's domestic because they're afraid. They can't, afraid of, this would have been a good combo.
They also became a U.S. company.
They became a U.S. company.
Yep.
David, SoftBank not involved.
Got it. All right, we got an opening bell 10 minutes from now. Stick around. A lot more Squawk on the Street coming right at you.
Can you customize the S&P 500 to meet your...
Whatever job you're searching for, you can find it on LinkedIn. First jobs, flexible jobs, work from home on a Friday jobs, advertising jobs, accounting jobs, HR, PR, even ER jobs, Soho jobs, Shoreditch jobs. Keep me away from the central line jobs. Banking jobs, building jobs, never ever boring jobs. Small jobs, big jobs, lunch in Borough Market jobs, or even voiceover jobs, which is how I ended up recording this ad. Search millions of jobs on LinkedIn and find one meant for you.
It's another Tuesday afternoon, yet another grey day. So ditch the British winter and chase the sun across the globe with British Airways from London Gatwick to enjoy a warm Bayesian welcome.
How are you doing? Enjoying the sunshine?
Fly from London Gatwick to Barbados with British Airways, with flights and 7 nights hotel from just £699 per person. Don't miss out. Ends today. Book at ba.com/wintersun with British Airways. Incredible is within reach. Booking fees and conditions may apply. Limited availability. Selected flights in March.
Wiper blades on such a wet Tuesday afternoon as this. Squeaky, streaky. Rain rattles your windscreen. Smears rattle your confidence. Can't see, can't drive. Can't believe you haven't been to Halfords yet. Come to Halfords. We fit new wiper blades on the spot from just £3. And we're open late 7 days a week. See halfords.com for opening hours. Here in Chiswick. Ready for winter's worst? Ready for anything. Halfords. for life's journeys.
Wiper blades sold separately. Selected vehicles only in most stores.
Markets a bit on hold here ahead of the president's speech at noon in New York City, when we're going to be looking for headlines regarding U.S.-China trade and tariffs. In the meantime, the opening bell is in just about 8 minutes.
Today.
'Tis the season to be hunched over your laptop. Not on our watch. In real life, you can fill your senses and your baskets. Feel all the sights, sounds, lols, and OMGs. Wear laughing emojis on actual smiley faces. Battery is running low. Take the kids to Santa's Grotto. In real life, you can find just the right present using the most advanced search engine in the world. Your eyes. We can't in real life. Brent Cross, London. Free parking for all sleighs and cars.
For the independent bookseller who found you that first edition. For the baker who brings the smell of freshly baked bread to your door.
And for the barista who never needs to ask your name.
We've all got a part to play.
Every little tap keeps your high street alive.
And helps your communities thrive.
So if you love where you live, shop small.
Shopping on your local high street can make a big difference. Shop small. Only by American Express.
At Asda this Christmas, treat them to a gift or two, or three, with 3 for 2 on a wide range of beauty and toiletry gift sets, from Dove, Lynx, Bayliss and Harding, and many more. Asda, let's make Christmas extra special. Selected stores and lines subject to availability. Individual prices £1 to £20, cheapest item free.
O Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father and come to the shops with me. We can get 10% off 2 big shops a month with the new Tesco Club Card Plus. Oh, and 10% off your favourite Tesco brands, including F&F in-store every day. All for $7.99 a month.
New Tesco Club Card Plus. Value you can't stop talking about. Subscribe online today. £200 max spend per shop. In-store spend only. Club Card app required. Exclusions apply. See online for details.
Hi, this is Brian Weber, host of NFL First and Goal, every Sunday, kicking off at 1 Eastern, only on TuneIn Premium. Be sure to listen this Sunday for the ultimate football fan experience, featuring 7 hours of commercial-free coverage of every scoring play around the NFL.
You love TuneIn for live breaking news from CNN, MSNBC, Fox, CNBC, and more. But when you can't catch your favorite show as it airs, it might just be a click away as a podcast. Search your favorite news station to explore all the on-demand news shows on TuneIn.
Far wing, elevates, triple bucket.
The roar of the crowd. The shot clock ticks down. Will the ball go in? The suspense is pure torture, but you wouldn't miss this for the world. And the replays just don't cut it.
The sideline, the Van Fleet for 3.
TuneIn Premium brings you every minute of the NBA season streaming live, so you can be there when it matters most. Hear it now, hear it live on TuneIn.
Pump fake in the lane, turnaround jumper from 8 feet is good on the
Search
right block.
NBA today to start listening.
You're watching CNBC Squawk on the Street, live from the financial capital of the world. The opening bell in just under 5 minutes on this busy Tuesday as we await the president's speech at noon. We are keeping our eye on Goldman and Apple. Goldman Sachs is responding to allegations of gender bias when it comes to determining Apple Card credit limits. The CEO of Goldman Sachs Bank USA out with a message to customers saying, quote, "We hear you. Your concerns are important to us, and we take them seriously. We have not and never will make decisions based on factors like gender. In fact, we do not know your gender or marital status during the Apple Card application process." She added that anyone unhappy with their credit limit for the card can appeal, and Goldman may reevaluate their credit line. A lot of responses to this on Twitter, obviously, where it began.
Right. I do think that both companies were not ready for the blowback. I think both companies don't understand this industry from the point of view of how sensitive people are and how vociferous they can be. I'm not saying they were naive. I think they were doing what a lot of people thought was right. I like the fact that they're saying, listen, maybe we have to be more transparent. And that is true. They have to be more transparent. But what they should have done, I think, is just said, okay, let's figure out what best practices are, as opposed to just saying, you know what, we're all gender neutral. Because there are some people who would have said, you know what, if you're gender neutral, that does discriminate per se against women, because women make less in the workforce than men. I think that they just said, you know what, we're going to treat every person equally, not realizing that some people are more equal than others, not unlike 1984 in the world.
Yeah. It doesn't help that they have said from the outset they're not going to give us a lot of granular data on this card, on this product.
You can't do that. I mean, I think that you got to go by, not that I just think that you just do whatever JP Morgan says, but you need the cover of what the other guys do. I would have canvassed and I would have said, okay, here's what we think. If I were them, I would say, you know what, we don't like, here's what we think. This is the gold standard as we see it. Please tell us if you think we're wrong. They went in a little bit too sure of themselves in an industry that is not necessarily it's an industry that's very competitive. And I also think a lot of the practices are a little different from the way Apple and Goldman handle things.
Absolutely.
You agree with me?
Sure.
The credit card business is a tricky business.
Can be. Speaking of people's personal information, I'm sure you guys saw this Wall Street Journal story that Google...
Operation Grand Slam?
Has been collecting the personal health care information of tens of millions of Americans.
Thank you, Ascension Healthcare, for giving me my subway.
I'm sure that's going to go well.
This is an example.
End well.
This is Project Nightingale. I mean, how did they come up with this?
I don't know.
Project Vulture. I mean, Operation Grand Slam.
Yeah.
When I read this, I said, well, it takes two to tango, but the hospital gave away everything. They got everything. When you talk to Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, the nightmare is this. They don't want this. And yet here they are, secret thing. I always say these guys need to have better counsel because I always think, okay, let's say, it's something my friend Bruce Birnbaum, he's been my lawyer for 34 years at Paul Weiss. He always says, hey, how would it look on the front page of the Journal?
Well, there it is.
Awful.
There it is, yeah.
Project Nightingale.
Project Nightingale.
Do you think it's like this?
Nothing illegal about what they've done, by the way.
Who cares?
But now they have...
It's Ascension, right?
And it's not
Ascension. How can Ascension do that?
I mean, they actually have it.
How can Ascension give that stuff away?
I don't know.
Hey, David, are you on Project Nightingale? I'm on. David.
Project Flown the Coop.
David, I'm on Nightingale. You can't do this. These companies are under scrutiny for everything they do. The media hates them. Of course, they've wrecked every newspaper in the world, so why not? And they do Project Nightingale?
Do you not believe there's benefits to aggregate healthcare through machine learning and
there is a lot
big data?
that AI can do with that data.
Let me just say, of course there is.
Of course there is.
What does that have to do with it? I wanted Apple to go with the Cleveland Clinic to bring big data together, and they're like afraid because they don't want to get people's data.
Let's get the opening bell here in the S&P 500 at the CNBC Real-Time Exchange. It's Norwegian Cruise Line to the big board, celebrating the launch of the newest ship, the Norwegian Encore. You did this last night.
Yes, the Encore is gorgeous. I think when I saw people getting on, I mean, it's all ages, all different people. I mean, this is a great bargain. This company has distinguished itself by being a far better performer than the rest of the group, even though they lost. Like one day they got a call and said, listen, you can't go to Cuba anymore. 22 cents per share. Can you imagine if you're running a business, you have this huge Cuban business, and then you get to go, no, Cuba's out.
I know. It's a harsh policy turn. At the NASDAQ, it's Five9, a provider of cloud contact center software.
They are fantastic, Five9. I've had them on. They're doing really, really well. This is the new world. Contact centers. Nobody really speaks to anybody, but they figured out what to do.
Jim, the BAML Fund Manager Survey is out. Cash levels dropped to 4.2, biggest monthly drop since the election of President Trump. Now the lowest in 6 years. Are people chasing this? Does this make sense to you?
I worry about one thing, which is that we're going to hear from the president. Wouldn't it be something if he said, you know what, not only is there no deal, but December, we're going higher. And then I think a lot of people would have bought a lot of things that they maybe shouldn't have. That said, didn't the Fed make it so you can't really have cash again? I mean, geez, did you see the D.R. Horton numbers this morning where they said this October is so much better than last year's October? Because mortgage rates got really low. They forced you back into the stock market. They really did. I was getting 3% on a CD and feeling really great about it.
As you should have.
Right.
It was good.
Well, we're not allowed to own anything. It was 3% of the CD. It was king.
We'll take it.
I was king.
You were king.
Now I'm pawn.
Now you got nothing, huh? Was it a 1 year? How many years?
Then you got nothing. You got nothing to lose. No, it's 5 year.
That's Dylan. Yeah.
Well, Horton's one of the best S&Pers this morning, along with Rockwell, which is having its best day in a long time.
Great quarter.
See sales up 2 at least in 2020.
Well, there's an example. Someone's going to come on and say, well, you know what, they had lowered expectations. No, it was a great quarter. It really was. It was just a great quarter. And David, 5G is so strong too. Every 5G stocks, just every day they get reevaluated upwards. So you've got Rockwell, you've got machinery, you got housing, you have 5G, you have 5G. A lot of these component companies are like what happened with Kemet. So I mean, I think people are chasing, but then again, they got forced. They just got forced in.
Yeah.
I know, that's how I feel. It's like you have to be in an S&P index fund because you can't make any money again short term.
And, look, Blake Moret's going to be on
that's good
on the 1 p.m. today.
Who got that? How did they get that?
I had nothing to do with it. Well done. I don't want to hear from him. Remember when Emerson made their move, tried to make a move on them?
That's right.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
It was. It was a couple of years ago. Didn't go anywhere.
No.
Didn't go anywhere at all. Here's a name that I know you don't like, even though you own it, CBS Viacom.
Yeah, that's
CBS reported earnings. It's down 3%. Viacom also down. The deal's going to close.
So glad you brought that up.
Within a month. Joe Iannello, CBS's CEO, on the call, talking about them. They announced some management.
Right, it's good pay package.
Changes yesterday, yes.
Good pay package.
Iannello has a strong pay package that will pay him a great deal of money on close. He's not going to be with this combined company for very long.
On close? You mean like Brioni?
No.
On
CLOSE. Yes.
Oh, on close, because he could buy Brioni with that pay package.
He could buy a lot of Brioni suits.
David, I am a believer in Viacom down here.
Are you?
Yes, I am.
Well, it's moving down in part because the CBS numbers. Entertainment revenues $2.29 billion for the third quarter. That was up 4%, led by affiliate and subscription fee revenues were up 22%. But there's just concern about increased costs, I think, is the best you could say at this point.
And that's
I mentioned this when we were discussing Disney Plus, but they're just talking about the fact that adjusted operating income increased 21% from the prior year as a result of increased investment in content.
Well, that's why they have to
number
merge.
of series produced from multiple platforms, and obviously their own direct-to-consumer streaming service, CBS All Access.
Cut the cost by merging this. Makes sense.
Well, there will be cost synergies, but as you know, there was a lot of disappointment with the number when it came out, being more than many had anticipated.
Down here.